is joining momentarily, and we are going to be graced with the presence of the Oracle this evening. Commander will be joining, so we can ask all of the really, really difficult questions that we've been getting in the Discord. But really appreciate everybody joining this evening. I can even see Nanamo has graced us with his appearance, fresh from Camp Theta. Was enjoying some very, very nice pictures last week. Yeah, he's very fortunate to live in a very nice part of the world while the UK was baking in a heat wave. So, right, let's keep an eye on the chit chat. Commander is in his car, more than likely, probably with a coffee in hand, and probably trying to do a video call while we're kind of staring at his hand or the back of his steering wheel. But I can cast iron guarantee that Commander isn't at work, so it's all goodness. So there's a hell of a lot on the agenda this evening. It's been a while since we did our last AMA. There's been, to say that there are a lot of things in flight all at the same time would be an understatement. I think when Enigma started, and for those of you that were here with us in kind of sort of October, November time 2021, I think many of you will remember what the vision of the project was, and it was to turn us from an NFT project into a mining operation. And, I'm pleased to say that we are well on our way ahead of schedule. From a growth perspective, we're going to talk a little bit about that in terms of the growth per month. Hold on, Nanemo's just asking, is Lauder recording? I think he was planning on it. I can see Lauder in the audience as well. Are we recording yet? Lauder, if you can just let us know in the chit chat, mate, that'd be great. The plan is usually it is recorded. But you make a good point. There's no point releasing any alpha at this point. Oh, there we go. Yes, it is. No point releasing any alpha or any updates if all that goodness can never be heard again, because I could just deny I said it. Of course, we wouldn't do that just for the record. But just as a quick recap, as I said, our intent was always to become a mining operation. It was always to be accessible to the retail investor as well as those that can afford to buy whole miners. We are growing month on month. We'll be talking a little bit about in terms of where we're at in terms of the last few months in terms of buy and host, because I know that's the sort of stuff that you don't get to hear, and where we're at in terms of outstanding orders. And we're hoping to give you a little bit of an update on the operation, both in Paraguay and, of course, North Carolina. But yeah, shipments has been our biggest bugbear. And that's being pretty upfront with you guys. As I said, we'll go into a little bit more detail. But the move to Paraguay has been a hell of a lot more stressful than we anticipated. We also underestimated the fact that dealing with energy providers in what is a third world country can be somewhat challenging as well. I'm sure Nanamo in the crowd could testify that in places like Uruguay, everything is mañana. Lots of promises made. Unfortunately, a promise isn't a currency that you can cash in. So there has been obviously changes there, and we're going to go into that. We'll talk about the Genesis cycles and what our plan is around those. We'll also talk about some elements around Genesis in terms of the future, the regularity, the size, in terms of how much we've acquired, what that means to the operation. We're going to give you a little update as well around website. We're not going to go into too much detail around that, but there is some updates to provide you with. Again, it's work in progress. And of course, we are going to be talking about future collections, and the last item on the agenda I'm not mentioning yet because it's something you guys hopefully might be a little bit excited about. But
yeah, telling me anything about that. That's awesome, man. You have to
Did
stay
you do
until
a
the end
copy?
for that.
Did you do a copy and paste from our team meeting? So
Nope.
literally our team meeting concluded 20 minutes ago, which gave us all 10 minutes to eat dinner, use the bathroom, all that jazz before jumping on here. So, but a hell of a lot to cover off. I'm going to do jazz hands until Heli joins us, and as I said, I think Commander's plan is to join us around about 1/2 past the hour. But if there is anything on there that I've missed, if there's anything you guys want to cover off, if you want to place that into the chat, if there's any particular things that you'd like us to delve into. So we're going to be covering off kind of minor status for buy and host, EMF2 and Genesis in terms of shipments. We're going to cover off what's going on with North Carolina and why that's interesting for the project and why that's interesting for new buy and host customers. I said we're going to go into Genesis, the payment cycles. We're going to go into kind of Genesis overall in terms of the moving forward, what's happening. Buy and host, we'll talk a little bit about, we can't name projects. One of them would come as no great surprise, who continue to invest in us. We'll cover off website, and yes, we'll mention the D word, the dashboard. And some of the features that you'll start to see in the new website when eventually it does get the button pressed. We'll talk a bit about future NFT collections, and as I said, there is one other item on the list. So, as I said, anything that I have missed, please do let me know. But as always, Discord rules. If you've got a question, you want to come up and chat to us, Commander loves being tested, and I would encourage you to do so. We love doing it every week, twice a week, in fact, when we have our calls on a Monday and a Friday. Hold on, have you accepted? Yeah, he's up. We have our calls on a Monday and Friday every single week. It's usually an hour on a Monday, hour and a half on a Friday. Hey,
Today
Heli.
was hour and 45. Classic.
An hour and 45 minutes today. And as part of that, you'll be pleased to know that Heli and I have KPIs, believe it or not.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Narwhal, you make a really good point, buddy. We need to talk about
Oh, sorry. Yeah. We'll do that.
that particular item as well. I'm sure we're all waiting with bated breath on that particular one. And the person looking after that is sat right next to me. The person who's just joined, it's Heli Quinn.
Yeah,
Hello,
sorry
mate.
guys, I'm a bit immobile these days, so I had to slowly make my way to my PC. Yeah, no, I was listening on my phone, so I'm not exactly behind on the AMA or the notes because obviously I was there during the meeting. I was gonna say let's give people time to jump in, but it's 15 past. So yeah,
It is
24
15
people.
past. We gave you the time. We gave you the time to join, mate, and I sat here doing jazz hands.
Um, cool. Yeah. JT, you posted the
No, it's
yeah.
our
So
agenda between
that's
each
your
other
yeah. Cool. That's good.
because there's some
Yeah.
items on there that we don't want to reveal until we get towards the end of the AMA. So for those of you, sorry, my cat has just decided to walk right in front of my face, and I've just suddenly had microphone in my right up my nose. Thanks for that, cat. So we're going to save an item right towards the end, and sorry to do that to you, but there is going to be a little something that we have been concocting. We've dropped hints. We've dropped heavy hints in the main chat and the cave of something that we're looking at launching. Timing wise, we just need to kind of get that right. So we're gonna deliver a little mention of it towards the end. More details will follow, and yeah, I'm not going to say anything more than that at this point. Unfortunately,
Dude, I
guys,
sat
you got
there
to
for
stay
like
till.
5 seconds, like thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Then
Yep.
I realized
So you got to stay to the
the
end
thing that I've
for that
spent
one.
fucking a day on.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah, cool. Let's go from. Should we take some questions first? Oh no, we shouldn't. We should just do the.
Well,
Should just do
we can cast iron guarantee that there isn't going to be a live EMF reveal during the AMA. However, why don't we start with that's a good places to start as any. EMF2 art has not been high up on the agenda, but it is going to start to appear as such. how we getting on with the
you mean
artwork?
reveal? The art and everything is done. It's just in the reveal. Yeah, it's taken a second. Is the saying second chair? I think so. Anyway, it's just not been a priority, and there's a few reasons for that. Again, we're not a normal Web3 company. We don't sit around thinking about our NFTs all the time. We have way bigger things to manage and do. And unfortunately, the time dedicated to development has been put elsewhere, not exactly on EMF2 art. And the reason for that is it's quite simple to do, and it's not really important until EMF actually starts giving rewards out. So like it's kind of pointless to do in a sense, and there's way more important things to do. But the art is ready. I've seen probably 100 different pieces, and I was like, this is fine. This is just works. It's not our first time making a collection. Probably not going to be our last. So yeah, that's why we that's
Are
why we
there any
haven't put
surprises
focus
in?
on it.
Are there any surprises in there in terms of the artwork?
No, not really. I mean, one of them wins you $100,000 if you get it. No, I'm joking. No, there's nothing really. It's the normal run of the mill NFT project. There's still going to be boosts, like the NFT boost is still going to be there. There's a lot of different artworks and pieces. I think people are gonna like them. They're not very much PFP material, I would say, but that doesn't make sense to do another PFP because we already have EMF1, which is plenty of good PFPs. So yeah, that's why we haven't revealed that yet, but hopefully that brings you more, um, gives you more of an idea of why we haven't done that yet. It's just honestly not a priority. But the closer we have to payout is, it's gonna be a priority as it comes. But we are still enough time away from payouts to not really be pushing it forward.
So yeah, there was going to be the standard boosts in there. So it'll be the novice, apprentice, and
No, it's not
expert.
gonna be those. It's gonna
Is
be
it not?
no. The way we're registering them is the same as EMF1. Um. Oh, sorry. Naming, yes.
Which is novice, apprentice,
Yeah,
and
sorry.
expert.
The naming, yes. The numbers are different. The numbers the same as EMF1, so they're gonna be 2.5, 5, 5.5, and 7%.
5 and 5.5.
7.5%. Sorry, 7.5.
Clearly, you need some more caffeine, my friend.
I don't. Yeah, I need a lot of things at the moment. So yeah.
Nanema, we'll save that question for a little bit
Like,
later, I think, because
yeah.
I can see the question that's sitting above it, and
Which one's
that's
that?
something
Oh,
that's
fish
also
sticks.
very close to your heart.
Speaking of boost, any updates on Genesis boost today? Yeah. I mean, it's not new information, but I'll just say again, for people that might have missed it. The classic boosts are gonna go away, because they're all accounted into the equation of the new boost that we did, the latest one. So that latest one is a one once and for all boost, meaning the others are kind of pointless. So again, developers been busy on other things, so we haven't done that yet. But soon we're gonna remove metadata off the original Genesis collection and just keep the boost that you guys know of, the latest one. So that is gonna be now the set standard, and for you guys and for anyone new coming to Genesis, because it gets too complicated otherwise. As far as the actual calculations on the boost, we are considering making one change to that, which we've agreed to make. So it's not even considering anymore. We have agreed to do it. We just haven't done it yet because obviously we had a gap in payout this month, so it wasn't necessary to do. But that difference is there's no longer going to be there's still going to be 0% boosts, but they're not going to be as many, and the boost the time staked isn't going to take such isn't going to be calculated the same way, which eliminates our boost essentially. So you will no longer see a novice with 0 boost because it has its own novice boost, if that makes sense. But again, that will come with time. We're not doing any of that today, or this week, for example. So yeah. I got the thumbs up of truth from Fishsticks. So by the way, guys, shout out to Fishsticks. I believe he's an engineer by trade. So he opened up a ticket and like did a bunch of calculations. And I was like, listen, dude, I don't do maths that well. I'll just give it to the developer and you can talk to him. So
Oh, that was a moment. I was watching that ticket with great interest.
yeah, I was like,
So
I was like, dude,
smashing job for the record.
I understand the maths, but I'm not good enough at maths to explain to someone else in that depth. So I was like, you know what, just speak to the developer. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. Which is always what you should do. You should never like. I think in life you should never pretend to know shit if there's someone nearby that can explain it better to you, because it's just fucking counterintuitive. Like no one's the best at everything. Yeah, you're a pain in the ass, but you're like fish sticks. You're like a good pain in the ass. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the bad pain in the ass. That gets very annoying very quick. But you're good so far. But yeah,
Right, hold on. I'm just typing into the chit chat what I went through. Right, I'm about to press the return button on it. So that's pretty much it, isn't it? You just read through that quick.
yeah, the agenda is minor status, buy and hold CMF2, Genesis shipments, the plan for North Carolina, Genesis cycles. Yeah, this is it. Genesis investment.
Yep. So I just changed the wording from what I put in there, because obviously
Yeah,
we had
that's
some
more.
question marks on some items, and just wanted to make sure that we had those covered. So
Yeah, so I'll just go go into it.
Shall we
I
start
think
with
Joe's coming in a bit. Or Commander's coming in a few minutes. But I'll just go and whenever he comes.
everybody knows it. Everybody knows his name. If they've read the EMF1 FAQ, then
No, I know. Yeah,
we're all doxed.
I call him Joe because I just like if if you go to mine of his DMs on like WhatsApp or something, every time I initiate conversation with him, I go like Joe, as if we're in the same room. So I just keep in my head, it's never Commander, it's always Joe. Anyway,
unless we're pissed at him and then we speak in Discord, and it's definitely Commander.
That happens rarely, yeah. But yeah, it happens. Yeah, so minus status for buy and host EMF2 and Genesis shipments. So yeah, we've mentioned this a few times in chat, but obviously not everyone's looking at chat all the time religiously, which makes sense. But there has been pretty big shipping delays, which are unfortunately out of our hands. So the Panama Canal is backed up, which essentially screws everything around it, creates backlogs. So even when it does clear up, it's still backlogged. So we are having some issues for new shipments coming in, which is EMF2, and for the buy and host shipments and Genesis shipments, which although they're coming from Miami, which doesn't go through the Panama Canal, which is the main issue, it still gets dropped off at Panama or goes through Panama, either or, which essentially still throws into the delay, which is quite annoying, but it just is what it is. So there will be delays in that, and there are already delays in some of them. But with that being said, we are getting more information today and Tuesday, and once we do, we're gonna pass that on. It's just one of these things that we unfortunately cannot control or have our hands on as much as we would like to. But it's part of the business, it's part of the mining business. These things happen.
So for those of you that would like to go and have a little Google, so there are two main themes which have hit us. It's the first and foremost is that there has obviously been a lack of rain, and it's effectively caused basically a lengthy drought, which means it's caused problems for the ships that are actually wanting to travel through the canal. So whether that's coming from the Far East, so like the likes of China, Japan, those areas where there are significant amounts of shipments coming across to the west, and also for the ships that are going the other way. Now that creates issues in the bay. That creates issues of traffic coming into the port as well. Now it's affected some of our later shipments, but there's also to coincide with that, there's been a ton of strikes. Again, I will happily go and have a Google on your behalf and send you the information. We've got copies of the shipping manifest to understand, where some of these shipments have gone. The good news is that some of those earlier shipments, so the shipments for Steady Stack, I think there's a portion of some of the Genesis miners did make it through and into Paraguay. There is another 2 subsequent orders right now that are held up in Uruguay, and there's the latter shipments which have been impacted by the situation in Panama. Now, trust me, our team have been on this daily, and the giant shit sandwich that we have been eating, I've never experienced anything like it. And as I said, it was saying in the main chat and the cave, if you want an update and you're happy with the update, there's no update. That is what has been basically curtailing us, for want of a better word. And for Helly and myself, for the newer buy and host orders that have been coming in, obviously we're in communication with a lot of those customers on an almost daily basis because they want updates on where their shipments are so they can update their communities. I feel like my forehead has been blunted from the banging against the brick wall, and so there has been a lot of frustration internally. Heated discussions between the team, and we have, for some of those clients, had to reroute some of the miners to our North Carolina facility, which leads us really nicely into like the second point. Oh yeah, that was the whole team. We've been sitting there playing the maracas, the mandolin, the trumpet. I mean, yeah.
I'm on the jazz. I'm on the. That's not a trumpet. That's what's that called? A saxophone. I'm on a saxophone. To be honest.
Yeah, skipped community surprise. You know what? I'll take that all day long, all day long. And the thing for Richard is that that his shipment is in the mix that's sat in a port in Uruguay at the minute. To the point
I was we're delayed as well. We as individuals, JT and I, have bought miners to mine with our own funds, and we're delayed as well. So it sucks.
So I offered to fly down to Uruguay myself to locate the customs officer responsible for holding their items, and he's in the queue, to get the damn things released, because the steady stack order, which was kind of like our proof of concept for the shipping, went to plan. And to see the subsequent shipments getting delayed, the communications being piss poor from the logistics provider, this isn't like dealing with FedEx, and I wish it was. They don't provide the same level of tracking for your item. You can potentially track the ship, but then you've got to. It's like extracting a tooth during a root canal surgery to actually get the details of the ship. Believe it or not. So we've had a lot of fun. Let's put it that way. So communication-wise, we take it on board. I'm a talker. I love spending time with you guys. So having no updates has been horrible. It really has been. But the bottom line is, as I mentioned at the start of the call, our mission was to become a mining operation. We're confident in the team in Paraguay. We're KY. They're KYC'd with us. They have an awful lot of clients. We've been to site. One of our community has a sizable purchase which has arrived in Paraguay. A holder called Chenkel, who happens to be a lawyer based out of Brazil. He knows the team well. He is also doing work with us, advising, not just for the current operation, but some of you may be aware that we've also been looking into alternative sites as well. We need a contingency plan, for every opportunity. Be a big buy and host order, whether that be if ever we were in a situation where we needed to relocate, which we shouldn't. But the idea here is that that we hedge. That basically we hedge for expansion, which is exactly what we should be doing. But yeah, Helly, back to you.
Yeah.
North Carolina.
North Carolina was the point. Yeah. So luckily with this slight hindrance or annoyance in Paraguay, we have had an opportunity to work out a different method of mining in North Carolina, which is essentially curtailment. So the way our power works, and the power for most miners works in the US, is there is peak hours and there's kind of off-peak hours, and there's seasonalities to it. So summertime more expensive, wintertime cheaper. And then there's also the case of um, on peak time, which is I guess JT. Do you remember the exact peak times? I think it was like around. It was like from lunchtime.
It varies depending on the time of year.
Yeah,
I think it was between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m.
yeah, that was the one.
Which works absolutely perfect for us because it's also the hottest time of the day when you don't particularly, your miners are suffering. So carry on.
So what we've started doing, and we're working with an external company as well on this, is we're starting to power down miners during that time, and then start to overclock or run them normal for the rest of the time where the power is cheaper, significantly cheaper. Therefore, that balances out to a more favorable rate, which essentially beats, I think, majority of the US and the rates that companies have put out. And it also becomes slightly closer to what you would get in Paraguay in terms of return, because the actual shipping and importation is cheaper. Therefore, your machines also become cheaper. So we've managed to find a way to kind of balance the scale between Paraguay and North Carolina, and we're still working on perfecting that way of doing it. But we started testing it, and with time, we're gonna get closer and closer to, you can say, optimal efficiency on it. And that is not something that everyone can do. We've been lucky, and through our agreements with our power provider, we've managed to do it and managed to keep that. And the bigger we get, the actually more efficient that becomes, because you can enter into deeper agreements with the power provider. But for the time being, we're getting and we're doing that for now, and that's why JT said we're rerouting to people to that facility, and are opening up that facility as kind of um, an option for everyone now, which means we've also rebalanced our structure on payments and all these things. So essentially, this all helps us as a company and you guys as holders. It also helps you guys who hold Genesis, because with better rates and more clients, we have more money to put into Genesis. So hopefully that was kind of a quick rundown. Does that make sense, guys? I think that makes sense. It's a weird concept to take into account if you're not in the mining game. Complete silence from the chat. The name, does that make sense?
I was just
The
doing
name
it
was
to wind you up.
Is there credits for that? I'm not sure, Nanemo. That's a Steven question, and I'm gonna ask, but he hasn't specified if there are, which leads me to believe that there aren't at the moment.
It's a bit like yeah, I don't know if you have this in America.
That's discussing, Nemo, but I don't believe so at the moment. But with size, we could potentially get that. And I think Riot's agreements. Joe is about to jump on in a bit, but he'll be able to answer about the energy credits better. But I think Riot's case was quite unique because they managed to get insane rates locked in for an insane amount of time.
So yeah, I think it depends on the agreement you've got.
It depends on the agreement that you have, and I believe ours isn't at that level yet. There's Joe. Hello?
I better repost the agenda so we stick to.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up, Joe?
Hello.
Good timing, actually.
What's that?
I was saying good timing that you've arrived at a good time for a question for you as well.
Okay.
Okay,
perfect.
Yeah, so I'll jump in because it was an ongoing conversation. But we're basically describing the advantages that we managed to have in North Carolina in terms of power, and the curtailment, and how that becomes more efficient compared to basically everyone in the US, and how these advantages can, as well as the cheaper machines, make North
Yeah.
Carolina a viable option. But the main question Nemo had was, is there any sort of energy credits due to that, similar to Riot? Or
No, not right now. So Riot does a demand response program because their energy is they're getting it much cheaper than anyone else, which means that whoever's supplying that energy is losing a lot of money. So it's in the provider's interest to buy that energy back during peak when that energy is actually going to be even more expensive and they'll make more money even if they paid Riot for that energy back to the grid. That's virtually non-existent, and I think it's because Riot had a contract very early on, and they just they've just been in the game for so long that they just got lucky like that. I don't know how long the terms of the contract is, but that's one of the main reasons they're this big.
So, Joe, I stuck in the chat the agenda that we're going to be covering off this evening, and of course, we will get sidetracked by questions that come in. So, what we've covered so far is we've talked about the shipments and the delays in Panama. We've spoke about the drought and the strikes, and the status of the hold up in Uruguay, and we've moved now on to the plan for North Carolina and why that actually is quite appealing and why we've moved shipments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just say, everyone, thank you for waiting, and for everybody who's impacted by these shipments and the delays. Thank you also for your understanding and your patience. This is frustrating for everyone involved. We have about 80% of our operation offline, so we have about over 5 megawatts either en route or just getting there. So it's been tough. Um, uh, I get messages and calls almost every single day asking me, for updates, what's going on with the shipments. So I'm very aware um, of how everybody feels, and we're trying our best. It's an unfortunate situation, not something that we've had to deal with before, and I guess this is one of the costs of trying to mine in Latin America at a lower rate. Of course, many people still think it's worth it. I think some people are probably recalibrating whether it's worth it or not at this point. We sort of ran that exercise ourselves and decided that at least until we sort this out and the shipping timelines get better, it's probably not worth it to be shipping more stuff to Paraguay, so we don't bite more than we can chew. I'm sure this is very seasonal too, because in the summer everything is just a lot more active, and this is the last month in the summer, so we're hoping things get better in the next 8 months. That being said, to talk about North Carolina a little bit. So in the meantime, we've had a lot of time since a lot of our operation has been offline, a lot of time to try and fine tune what we already have in North Carolina and negotiate. And we were successful in negotiating a good sort of agreement with our energy provider. They allow us now to be more flexible with how we want to manage our capacity, meaning we can actually do curtailment and it's not going to cost us like it would have normally cost, which means we can bring our energy down significantly if we curtail. The curtailment schedule is complicated, but in the summer it's significant and it can affect about 10% of the uptime. But in return, you're saving maybe 20 to 25% in cost, especially if you're mining Bitcoin at these prices. So the idea behind curtailment is during peak hours when the energy is so expensive, we try to power down these miners. We power them down, and maybe we lose 5 to 10% of the hash rate over the course of the month, but we save 20 to 25% of the cost. So think of it this way: you might have mined $200 in 1 month if you just kept it running, but energy will cost you 150, so you only got $50 that month. When you curtail, you mined 150, but energy only costs you 75, so you actually got $75. So you're more profitable, even though you're running it a little bit less. And this is a sort of a schedule that is, you can't really do it without meeting certain criterias with these providers, paying them, enrolling in agreements like the demand response programs. But the problem with getting into demand response programs is then they require you to do it all the time. We don't want to do that if Bitcoin's over 30K, right? Our break even to when we want to curtail versus not is Bitcoin 30, above 30 or below 30. If it's above 30, everything runs all the time. If it's below 30, we can be more profitable shutting things down. The problem with going into these contracts, like the demand response, like Riot, one, we don't have the same liquidity Riot does and the same, breadth to just turn things off and sell energy for $31 million a month. But Riot has to do it forever. Once Bitcoin's 35, 40, 100K, you don't want to do that. And they're going to have a minimum requirement of 10 to 15% downtime every single month, and you're going to lose. So it's sort of like you want to be more forward thinking. You want something you can do today when it's very costly and Bitcoin's not as profitable, but you don't want to be committed to this when Bitcoin is so much more profitable. And so that's the idea behind curtailment. Generally speaking, in theory, right now we can bring our energy down to 4.5 cents in North Carolina. If you look at the averages, North Carolina is the third cheapest state for energy for miners, and it's averaging 8.3 cents rate only. People hosting there are hosting at 10 cents on average. Everyone hosting with us right now without curtailment is not paying more than 771. So it's 30% cheaper than the third cheapest state. The break-even point for most people in North Carolina is 22K. In the nation, it's about 24K. So Bitcoin drops another $1,000, most people won't be making money. So I say this just to sort of give a reference and sort of a reality check for the people who are mining, not the delayed, that things are down significantly. If you look at the market, if you're mining Litecoin, it's halved. So 50% of the LTC you're getting daily you're no longer getting it. And there was no price compensation. In fact, there was the opposite. What happened is Litecoin halved and the price dropped 20 to 30%. So the ROIs right now are no longer 8%, 7%. And they didn't drop 25% like they're supposed to. They dropped more because the price dropped, not just the halving. We saw like a week after the halving, there was a 20-25% drop in ROI, which is exactly what we expected from the halving. But then most people expected price to stay stable or go up, not down, but it went down. And so right now we're on this path in this sort of phase of the bear market where people are mining more, they're buying more, they're accumulating more, but the price is not really reflected to show that because the demand, like the more mainstream demand is not there. And the network difficulty is going up. So you have network difficulty going up and you have price going down and you have a halving. That is the three worst factors to be looking at your ROI right now. So you have to kind of take a step back and realize you're on a 48 to 60 month path. And if 3-4 months are not as great as they were the months before that, it's a very tiny fraction of your long-term plan. So calculating ROIs this month, no one's going to be happy. But imagine the people who are mining at 8 to 10 cents. And another thing to think about is most people don't do what we're doing. You guys are getting an ROI that's a net profit ROI. What people do is they actually pay for energy with dollars and they accumulate the coins. Because when you do that, your ROI is actually double that, a little more than double that. And you're basically buying Bitcoin every month 30% to 40% cheaper than the spot price. And so that's what people normally do. We don't do that with you because most of us here, we're retail friendly. Most people don't have the liquidity to pay for energy every single month. But generally the way people mine, that's why they mine at 7 cents, 8 cents, 9 cents. They don't care because even mining at that, you're mining Bitcoin at 16K, 17K, 18K, but it's priced at 25K. So that's how they think of it. More larger miners, traditional miners, that's what they do. They give dollars up, they don't want it, they keep the Bitcoin. Anyway, so because of this new program in North Carolina, we've been able to start committing plans for expansion. So we just bought a very nice large container working with Giga, we got a great deal for it. It'll fit 1.4, 1.5 megawatts. We can go up to 6 in North Carolina. So we have 3-4 megawatts that we can sell. That's going to bring a lot more scaling into Genesis and just to the overall the company. It's going to help us be able to reconcile a lot of clients, some clients who may have lost too much time, all that stuff. It's on our radar, and we're going to look for ways to remediate or mitigate the situation to the best of our efforts. And then the second thing is we learned a lot. And then the third thing, we're going to start offering people a lot cheaper prices because North Carolina is much cheaper than Paraguay. You don't have a 16% import. So that makes up for the lower energy cost or the higher energy cost in North Carolina. And then our lead time is less than 14 days, 15 days. So it's kind of once you see what it feels like to wait 2 months, you suddenly realize I don't care about 10% more ROI. I'd rather have my miners mine for 2 months because that alone, that 2 months, is going to take 16 to 20 months to make up that difference mining in Paraguay at a lower rate. So it's sort of like lesson learned. We understand. Is it going to be different if we ship in 4 months to Paraguay? It might be, and it might, prove to be very good. Maybe just a month and a half, and now you're mining at much cheaper rates, and it's not as bad. Or maybe it's just always going to be like that. We won't know until more time elapses. But so far, North Carolina has recently has started to look more attractive. You're getting cheaper machines, quicker lead times. It's in the US, easier to visit. And when we curtail, your machines are more efficient just by nature. Yeah. And so we're now also going to try to bring the prices of North Carolina even lower than what they sell at generally by taking like pre-orders. So if you're able to wait 2 months for North Carolina, you can get your machine 20% cheaper. So 20% cheaper than there already are for North Carolina. So 16% cheaper than other 20% cheaper. And you just have to sort of wait until they're produced. So we've been able to create really good relationships with What's Miners now that we've done so much business with them. So there's some opportunities popping up as well in terms of buying cheaper machines. I know this doesn't necessarily make people who are waiting on their machines to get to Paraguay feel better, but just trying to give you updates comprehensively. So I'm going to stop here and just see what else has come up in questions.
I'm not sure if you look at the chat. Thanks for that, first of all, but I'm not sure if you look at the chat. But a name was asking if we can. He said, in regards to mining Litecoin in EMF1, can we decrease the Litecoin and put more into Dogecoin?
I don't understand. What was the question?
In regards to mining with EMF1, can we decrease the amount of Litecoin we mine and put more hash rate towards Dogecoin?
No, that's not possible. The way it works is there's a set hash rate. It's a property of the machine itself, the amount of chips in the machine, the circuit. And that hash rate will always produce a certain ratio of Litecoin to Dogecoin. So you can't actually decide or delegate how much hash rate of that machine goes into one or the other. It's a co-mine. So you mine Litecoin and you get a certain proportion of Dogecoin for each Litecoin you mine. Right now, it's like, I think for each Litecoin, it's like 4,000 Dogecoins.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I'm just gonna scroll up, see if we missed anything. If not, we can move on to the next topic on the list, on the agenda. Sorry.
I was going to say there was one last question from the Nemo that we did miss. Yeah, he said he asked about are the rates in North Carolina locked, or he thought that they were locked.
Locked.
Was that for the first 12 months?
No, so they'll be locked with us, but full transparency, we won't have them locked with the provider. But we have a letter of intent now from the provider and a contract with the provider that shows the amount of the rate up until 2025. So we didn't have this before. But our provider's gotten into a lot of trouble, not just from us. They had a huge client over 150 or 250 megawatts that went bankrupt, and we suspect that that company went bankrupt because they're working with our provider who offers no insight into future rates, and they're very aggressive with their rate hikes because they know that everyone in North Carolina is having it much easier. I mean, the only two states doing better than North Carolina is like Washington and Oregon. And even there, people are mining on average over 9 cents all in. So our provider knows this, and they haven't been the easiest to work with, but we've resisted and fought a lot. We downsized, and they saw us leave. They saw us move 5 megawatts, which is over 150K a month in energy costs that was getting paid to them. And then imagine how much money they lost when the 200 megawatt client had to leave, probably millions a month. And so they realize they have to work. They have to work to keep their clients. And so we now have much more insight into what's happening up until 2025. And the proposed rate hikes from now until 2025 will cumulatively be less than 7%. So we're able to fix the rates that we sell because we factor that into the agreements or the terms of service with our clients. So whatever terms you get in North Carolina, they'll be fixed for at most 2 years.
So yeah, if there is a project that comes along, the rate is the rate. The profit share is the profit share. So there are no changes to that for 24 months.
Yeah, and in the case where unexpected things do happen, one of the things we've done best, and I don't think anyone does that like we do, is we actually care about the client. We have never charged anyone a termination fee. We've never charged anyone racking fees or any random miscellaneous fees because we needed money or operational budget is tight. We've been in situations we were super tight. We never thought, hey, let's find ways to screw our clients or get some money out of our clients, but that happens all the time. So in our terms of service, we actually put clauses that are protecting the client, which allows you, if anything happened that was not part of the plan, like for some reason energy rates went so high that it prohibited us from actually providing these rates for you, there will be no termination fees. We can renegotiate, we can lower profit share, we can try to get you back to your all-in rate. If the energy rate goes up, profit share can come down, and you'd still be making the same ROI because we're balancing, and that's a nice flexibility that you get when you get a hybrid sort of agreement rather than everything in rate. But surprisingly, 3 out of our 4 recent deals have all been rate only. People have just been wanting rates because everyone's sort of expecting Bitcoin's going to go on a leg up soon. It's in that accumulation phase, pre-halving. So people are more than happy paying 7.5, 8 cents rate only. And everyone mining with us is paying way less than that.
Yeah, Joe, and there was follow-up or two from Nanemo, who, as always, is the one asking all the right questions on the behalf of the community. He's asking about the rates in Paraguay, if they're fixed for 5 years.
The rates in Paraguay with our provider, between us and our provider, are fixed for 5 years, but we don't sign 5-year agreements with the client.
Yeah.
Unless it's EMF or Genesis or any of that. All our clients are getting up to 3 years in Paraguay.
Yeah, I assume he was asking about the between us and provider. Yeah, that makes sense. And a quick note for North Carolina is
But let me just make a point, because I think this can be easily confused. Fixed, that is not the same as the rates we will sell. So we started selling rates at our base rate 3.8, all in with hosting and all that, as low as 4.2. We don't have anything lower than 4.2 with all in costs included. That's where we started selling. Right now, we're not selling anywhere less than 5, even in Paraguay.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
And silence.
I think we were very we were a little overzealous in trying to be as attractive as possible with our rates. That we've outcompeted we've out we've outcompeted Paraguay in North Carolina. The cheapest rates in Paraguay all in are around 6 cents, and we've mined in North Carolina lower than 6 cents for clients for many months. So we were trying really hard to make this as affordable as possible. That people are getting 4.5, 5 cents ROIs, and they're disappointed when the average market is getting maybe 1.5 in this specific market. And so we've set a standard that's pretty high, but it's only really the case because of how competitive we have been, and we're still very competitive like that. It's the market circumstances have changed, and anyone who's mining understands that this is a very small window, and so I would just urge, don't extrapolate this over the next 45 months.
Thanks, Joe. There's people dropping some mock-ups of merch that we should do. And Joe,
Yeah, I'll just say,
I'm
look,
not looking at the merch, but I think we should take that design and just do it.
wait, what?
Can you see the AMA
Is this
stage
like-
chat?
It's like satirical merch.
Yeah, it's a machine with my name under it, and then the other one is it's a T-shirt with a machine, and then I mine the coins. So yeah, it's very much.
Boy.
Yeah, I would rather die than wear that, to be honest. But no offense.
Well, I did
I'll just
actually.
say,
I did
look, if we don't have merch in the next month, I would blame JT.
I've had a
Actually,
conversation
that's where
today.
You know
I've had a
what?
conversation today. Okay, there is a possibility for us to do some kind of nice little bundle. So I'm working on that. So it's actually, I'm ironically working with one of our buy and host customers on that. So
Oh.
he's making some introductions for me.
I have the
Good.
design as well, man. We're ready. We're ready for merch.
Yeah, they do global shipping, which has been the biggest problem. Because
Joe,
because our community are really inconsiderate and live all over the world. So, and we want to make sure that everybody can gain access to it.
That's the real problem, our community.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's it. Just get rid of everyone.
Joe, there was a follow-up question. At what price of Litecoin and Dogecoin do we become unprofitable?
And we have to pause.
Well,
Have we done that
well,
calculation recently?
it's
Because of the halving.
no,
We haven't done
No,
it
I
because of the
haven't.
halving. So
no, I haven't done the calculation, but it's not very complicated. You just have to make an assumption that the network hash rate will not go up. In reality, right now, because the market's been dumping, the hash rate's been going down. If you look at Bitcoin's hash rate, I mean, it's insane. It was 440 exahashes 2 weeks ago. It's 360 now. I mean, that's a huge drop in the network hash rate. And this is at a Bitcoin of 26K almost. If we go down to 20K Bitcoin, I mean, I suspect a lot more people are going to drop out. And if you actually look at the biggest miners, their machines suck. Like if you look at, I forget what was that name, the Bitfarms. The Bitfarms is one of the miners with 20, 30 megawatts next to us in Paraguay. Their miners are 2 years old. Their average hash rate per miner is like 95. Those models are 2 years old. So by the time the halving comes, they're going to need to find a way to come up with what they have, like 50, 60,000 miners. They need to come up with over $150 million to replace their miners. So there are many people in that situation. Whereas we have top 20th percentile in energy rates in the world. In North America, we're top 10. And then we have literally the newest machines. So come time of halving for Bitcoin, or when the market recovers and people start adding miners again, we're going to be doing fine.
that's okay. Bitcoin will be 100K by then, so no worries.
So I mean, look, the ROI. This is the calculation we did. The ROI on machines you buy today, or you start mining today. If Bitcoin stays at the same price, and if the hash rate difficulty increases by 15% annually, or the output decreases 15% annually, so Bitcoin doesn't move, price does not move, and we lose 30% in output. In 24 months, your ROI will be 73%. This is mining in North Carolina. It's going to be like 78% in Paraguay. Again, rough projections. Could it be worse? 100%. Could it be better? 100%. At 48 months, you're at 170% ROI. So at 48 months, Bitcoin doesn't move. Output decreases by 60%. You still got back your initial investment. You have all your miners, and you have 70% more in value that you've produced. Now, if you assume Bitcoin goes up in 24 months by 2.5% per month, for a cumulative 45K Bitcoin in 24 months. So first of all, anyone in the stage that thinks Bitcoin won't be 45K in 24 months should just hop off stage. This is the first thing. Send me an email. Send me an email, and we'll send you your miners, and we'll pay for the shipping. Okay. Get your miners out of our container. If you don't think that Bitcoin will be 45K in 24 months, I don't know why you even came into the space. Honestly, I can't blame us. I have to say it. So, on average, Bitcoin has gone up 5% month over month over the last 10 years. So we're assuming half of that for the next 2 years, and we're a pre-halving stage, which all data points to Bitcoin going up. So 24 months, if you can accept 45K Bitcoin, then your ROI in 24 months with a 15% reduction in output per year, so 30% total output reduction, would be about 170 something percent. And in 4 years, in 48 months, with 2.5% month over month increase in Bitcoin, all the way to a $141,000 Bitcoin in 4 years. Again, I feel like most people are expecting Bitcoin around 120 to 180K next year post halving. So if we can just accept that we'll average a 141K Bitcoin 48 months from today, then your ROI is over 600%.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's
this is the core thesis of mining. People still, and it's fine because when you're frustrated, when you've used up your liquidity, when you've been waiting for so long, you're anxious. It's hard to be optimistic, and it's hard to stick to the thesis you originally had in mind when you bought these miners. But this is still the thesis. No one is mining thinking Bitcoin's going to be 25K for the next 4 years with 15% reduction output every year. No one thinks that.
Yeah, I mean, we were having this chat, you and I, Joe, in our DMs, as we tend to do when I complain to you about something that's not really to complain about. But yeah, I mean, I don't think any of our clients, especially the ones that we're seeing lately, as you said, who are paying for their own power, are expecting Bitcoin to be sticking around these prices. I mean, we've all seen Grayscale win their lawsuit, and now Grayscale is pressuring the SEC to push forward the ETF.
This is not, none of these prediction models have even factored in the demand pressure against the supply in a halving. We have never had a situation where the world decided they're going to buy Bitcoin like legally and implement it into investment structures legally, while we're also halving the supply. This is like never happened. So none of these projections even take that into account.
Joe, just to go back to the original question, which I think we should go over the answer again, is in terms of the nameless question on what's the break-even point for Dogecoin, Litecoin. I think the name we reached the point of that question is we haven't done the calculation post the halving but as Joe said, it's a pretty easy calculation to do. So I think we can do that after the AMA, so we make sure we don't fuck it up, and we can share it. I think, does that make sense, Joe?
You want to do what now? You want to do you want to redraw projections for what, EMF?
No. Just to find out the break-even point for EMF1 in terms of Dogecoin, Litecoin prices.
Okay, so the way you would do that is pretty straightforward. So if one L7 is making $14 a day in revenue, and about half of that is going into cost, then you would need to lose that. You need to lose 50% of that output in order for you to just be breaking even. This is assuming that the hash rate is the same, the network hash rate. So we can assume the network hash rate is the same because no one is going to be adding more and more miners as things drop. In reality, what happens is the price starts to drop, the network hash rate also starts to drop. And that's what we're seeing right now. So we can just assume no effect, no positive effect of the network hash rate dropping in conjunction with the price. Let's just say it stays the same. The price.
Oh, did I just lose Joe? Is that my internet?
No, he's right.
I was getting a call. We will assume at the current rates, what people are paying in cost all in, which is rate and profit share with us, about 50 to 60% is cost. So let's take 60%. Let's say $14 a day. It's around there, $14 a day in revenue. So 60% of $14 is going to be, someone do the math real quick, like, I don't know, $11. I'm going to embarrass myself. Let me just do that.
Wait, sorry, I was listening to what's the math?
8.4 dollars to cost, right? And so the profit's about 5.6. So if the output drops by about $5.6 from 14, so another 40%. So Litecoin and Dogecoin would need to drop another 40% in order for you to just be breaking even mining them. Now, you can have situations where one drops, since you mine both, one drops more than the other. Because 2/3 of the revenue comes from Dogecoin, if Dogecoin drops like 40%, but Litecoin stays the same, you're still going to be profitable, and vice versa. But if Dogecoin drops, if Litecoin drops like 50, 60%, but Dogecoin doesn't, you're still going to be profitable. The average drop between the two has to be 40%. Or somewhere around there. So I mean, we haven't. That would mean that we're looking at Dogecoin in the 4 cents, and then we're looking at Litecoin in the $30, which that would be kind of crazy. So it's hard to imagine that, but certainly maybe possible. But yeah, that's sort of, we can be more specific with calculations, but yeah, that's sort of the rough math.
Good. That covers it. No name more? Happy? There we go. Look, guys, the name was my benchmark. If the name was happy, you guys can. There's 37 of you. 37 of you can be crying. If the name was happy, I'm happy. So, rest of you don't have a voice.
Oh no.
Right.
I
I have.
Oh god, we have so much to cover. Let's. Should I?
These were
I'll do a
the things
bit
that
of
were
a
asked for by the community. Those top two things are real quick anyway. I think the first one's kind of, we answered it with Joe's comment around we've got 5 megawatts in transit, including most of the majority, if not all, of Genesis. So
yeah,
but a lot of people asked questions around, so what's gone into Genesis, and I think that was actually covered in an announcement by Joe already. But as an arbitrary figure, I think it was around about 200k of miners that were procured to add to the Genesis pool. It's about right, isn't it, Commander? Who's on mute? It's probably answered that call.
I'm gonna be surprised. No, I think we double checked that, and it's
Yeah.
That is about
They have that
right.
meeting.
Yeah,
Sorry?
we did.
They have the meeting with the site. So yeah, so
Cool.
we had to jump on that.
All right.
Anyway,
Fine
but yeah,
hostess.
so in terms of Genesis investment and people who are wondering how much has gone into it, this is north of $200,000 from ALTERI funds, not from Genesis reinvesting in itself. So we have essentially plugged 200K or more into the Genesis pool so we can get it to where we wanted it to be. And if you think about how much dust we have left over, and dust, guys, is for those of you that might not be aware, dust is essentially anything that's unclaimed. So I think we're sitting around 35% of Genesis rewards not claimed, and all of that money automatically goes back into scaling. So Genesis has enough momentum to scale itself comfortably every month.
So, and again, just all of you in the room, you Genesis holders, please make sure you have your wallets registered.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you
We
don't,
had a lot of very frosty people
Go on.
coming in who hadn't been in the community for some of them over 12 months.
pretty funny.
And they got angry. They got angry. They saw the tweets, or maybe somebody from the community pinged them. The bottom line is, you don't want to go down a route of just airdropping money to random wallets. You want to make sure that those wallets are still active. We want to make sure people are still taking part. Some people have disappeared from the space, and it's unfortunate. We want to make sure that money is going to Genesis in one form or another, whether it's to the holders or if it's not going to the holders, it's going to more machines. So, if you do have friends or people that you knew that were as part of the community, then, I'm sure you guys have conversations. Better late than never. And, we held the floodgates open for, I think there were people coming in for I think for the first 72 hours or so, we were like, yep, you know what, Joe signed off, making sure that those people got rewarded. But we have to call it quits at some point, guys. We have to make it fair. And for those that have stuck around and stayed through thick and thin, ultimately they should be rewarded if people are not present in the community any longer. And we felt that was the most fair way to do things. But you know what? The team's got broad shoulders. We'll deal with the saltiness as it comes in. But there are valid reasons as to why we did what we did. So,
Yeah, usually it's the case of, hey, we have to do good for the majority of people, not for the minority. And although it's pretty close, it's 65 to 35%, give or take. It just does not make sense to do so much flexibility. So yeah, and also Rich Gator did bring a very good point. Like we don't have wallets for them to give them the rewards if they're not here to give us the wallet for the rewards. That's another thing. So sucks to suck if you're not here. But if you are here, we welcome you with open arms for the next payout. And all the time that you have missed, if you missed it, does grow your existing and future rewards.
Exactly. And just for the record, once everything is plugged in, and I emphasize when it's going to be all plugged in, Genesis will have 810 kilowatts, of which 650 kilowatts is
Crazy.
Bitcoin.
Crazy.
So that was quite a large quantity of BTC miners, M50s that we added in. So I know, and I can see Stress Dash typing. He's going to turn around and say, "You know what? This is exactly the things we wanted to know." Yes, we know. We're sorry. We are going to make sure that comms is at the forefront. I feel that this is almost like an exorcism going on, where we're having, we're talking very plainly about some of the challenges that we have had and the frequency of no update that's been given to us. So there we go. He's typed exactly what I thought he was going to type. So look, I said we feel that we're in good shape. We feel that Genesis has strengthened significantly.
Oh, mate.
We can't wait to get the EMF2s online. And as I said, once we have a defined timeline on that, the artwork will follow. It's all of this stuff is absolutely on the agenda. But you know what? While Joe's not here, it's probably a good opportunity to sort of talk to you a little bit about the side of the business that you guys don't see. So, as you know, both Helly and I, we're responsible for, making sure that the NFT collections go to plan, the liaison with the executive team. So Joe and Stephen, obviously the liaison with David on the day-to-day stuff. But we are also responsible for going out and sourcing, new clients, some of which, have come in as a result of people that you guys know. We'll be coming back to that. But more importantly, it's about going out and talking to project leaders, Web2 communities as well. These conversations are not necessarily quick ones. We know Web2 sometimes decisions are made on the flip of a coin. But when you start talking to the larger projects, they operate a lot more like a traditional business. So, rather than me talking, I know in certain cases we definitely can't give you project names. But Helly can give you kind of an idea on the health of the Bino side of things. So over to you, Helly.
Yeah, sorry. I think, by the way, I think Commander had that call we had to take care of.
No, I'm right here. I'm
you're here?
listening the whole time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
He's sitting there munching it. He's munching a donut and probably drinking.
Guys, I've been
He's drinking a
meetings
very
since
expensive coffee.
since 7 a.m. and I need to squeeze food in at some point.
Yeah, fair enough. I will. Yeah, JD, thanks for that intro. I will kind of go over that. Yeah, so since JT and I have joined, we have launched a few initiatives. One of which will be revealed later today. But we've been going out to people that we know, new people. We've been introduced to people in communities, albeit Web3 businesses, Web2 businesses, individuals, all of that. And we've been amassing more and more orders in the millions, essentially, which directly benefit the company, therefore allowing us to grow. And obviously, the bigger we are, the better rates we get, the better machines we get. Sorry, the cheaper machines we get, the better equipment. Everything's better. And that directly and indirectly benefits every single one of you. Direct benefits, to list for you, is obviously cheaper future rates, like if you want to get in. Genesis gets scaled from funds of ALTERI. So everything loops into the initial community, and the healthier that we are as a company financially, the better everyone in this audience is. So yeah, we've been growing, although we've had these slowdowns and annoying periods of shipping delays and all these things. We have not had a single month where we haven't grown double digits in percentages so far. So yeah, I think that gives a pretty good overview of how well ALTERI is doing overall. We've onboarded 2 major communities, another one on the go. Our partners at SteadyStacks have, with our help, they are onboarding another 2 big communities, which again all benefits ALTERI in one way or another. So yeah, growth has been very, very good, very good. Yeah,
we would love to be able to give you the names, because I think there's a few of you would be uttering the OMGs. But we're seriously excited about what's been going on there. And the best thing about it is that Steady are busy marketing hard, and they have a massive bloody budget to do exactly that. So things are ticking along incredibly well in that regard. Although I think probably they give poor Commander some sleepless nights. He loves a call with Zan.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess let's move on to the dashboard and future collections and the community surprise, which I think literally everyone is here for. Actually, any questions about that? Any questions about the Any questions about the?
Are there any questions that I should take? Because I have to
No,
meet with.
Joe. I think it's been.
Go on, bugger off in the nicest possible
Are you
way.
sure?
Go and have something
sure?
to eat. Yep. If there's anything urgent that comes up, we'll ping you in the in our team chat.
Actually, let's give everyone like 3 minutes if they have any specific questions for Joe or Commander.
Get your questions in now for Commander. Type.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
What's your favorite color, Joe? They're asking. I think it's pink, like Barbie pink.
Like his underwear.
Yeah. Don't ask why.
Someone really asked what my favorite color is.
No joke. They
Yep.
did. Yeah.
Yep.
Someone asked me that.
Yeah. They recreated it. Yeah.
Wow.
Never
I appreciate that person treating me like a human.
deserved that.
I wish questions were more like that. It shows that the community cares about the team.
Bro, stop sulking, my guy. Like, I was gonna think we maltreat you and like you don't get enough food. Now, earlier you were like, I've been doing this since 7 a.m. I haven't had food, bro. We're not keeping you in a dungeon. If anything, it's the opposite.
Yeah. Helly and JT don't let me sleep. David doesn't let me do anything.
Oh, this is the perils of having a team that lives in the future, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know. My favorite color, I think, is like it's like a mix of green with blue. I feel like there's something for that. Teal, turquoise.
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 Yeah, turquoise. That's the color of my car.
It's a very good. Guys, okay, everyone,
Oscar, man.
everyone, fuck out. Okay, everyone's.
We need.
Relax. We're getting
No,
so.
I want to know why Anko said WTF. Does he? Can you judge a person by? I mean, I feel like if I said pink or purple, that's a warranted response. But I feel like I was pretty reasonable. I don't like that response.
Turquoise is pretty reasonable, yeah.
This
I
color,
was gonna say
that's a
slash,
little too blue. I think aquamarine. I feel like that's more aquamarine.
The Nemo, is that your car? It is, right?
This is a.
I think that is a Riviera blue.
This is Nemo's car. Yeah,
It has to be right. He doesn't just have
a little
one
too blue. A little too blue.
blue like his deep blue eyes.
SDP with his answers, honestly, always on point. This is the color, turquoise. That's the one.
Okay, I'm putting this back to like where we should be. Like this is
Okay.
Go on, Joe. Bugger off in the nicest possible way. Go on, please.
All right.
Go on,
Thanks, guys.
chill.
Bye.
Bye, Joe. Guys, don't even let him soak like that.
Man.
Next time he tries that shit, just shut him down, bro. This is getting embarrassing. We're giving him too much room to breathe.
Come on, he needs a break. Time.
No, he doesn't.
Time.
One second.
Actually, mine isn't that color. Mine isn't that color. This one's my baby.
That JT, your car is just sexy, man.
Isn't it just?
Yeah, beautiful.
Carbon kit on it is just phenomenal. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, and it scares the living daylights out of me still after I've been driving it for 3 years.
Damn. Alright, let's carry on.
Right, let's get back to the agenda. So, yeah, we added merch into the agenda. That was it. That was interesting, and yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll give you an update. But yeah, website. Yeah.
So, we like to change things on websites to make them better. Long story short, but we could launch a website right now. We could. It would be pretty much 90% done, but we would much rather get it to where we want it to be. And unfortunately, our developer is not making our website. He's contributing to it, but it's a third party making the website, which has its own challenges. They're not always available to work or to be around for specific feedback and questions. Sometimes things get dragged out, but it is coming. And then right after that happens, they move on to the dashboard. So the dashboard designs and a bit of its infrastructure already being developed. The designs are done. A bit of infrastructure is being developed on the back end. Once it's fully done, it will be even more infrastructure, which is essentially plugging in APIs and doing all of these things. It's not a simple, easy thing. We're not doing your classic, basic dashboard that majority of our companies do. We're integrating NFTs. We're integrating specific accounts. We're doing, and we're not integrating one NFT. We're integrating multiple NFTs. So it's not as easy as it sounds. So as much as we like to meme and joke about it, and people saying we've bitten too much more than we can chew, no, we haven't. It's all been planned out. We're just making it better and stronger. Dashboard was never going to be a quick thing, and with more time, we're adding more things to make it even better. But the good thing is, once it's done, it's done, and we're not building it to where if a new collection gets dropped from our side, or if a new collection gets dropped with a partner, we have to update and redo the whole dashboard. We're making it as a set solution from now for the foreseeable future, potentially forever, because it's going to be, because we're doing things that we don't need to do now, so we don't have to do them later, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully that's sufficient update on that for you guys. If not, do go ahead and ask questions.
Screen for the front of the website. We're happy with that, aren't we? The very, very front screen. I was going to say I could share a screenie of that and that's not a mock-up.
I'm not happy with that. But
You what? Sorry.
I'm not happy with that.
Bro, David, what are you happy with, my guy? Let's sit down and think about it.
Yeah, we'll need a session for that.
We need a session for that. JT, can you paste the thing again? I've lost it.
Paste what?
The agenda. I got it. We didn't talk about the launch of percentage miners. So that sounds really bad. But we as part of the website, obviously you're gonna be able to buy machines, and you're gonna be able to buy multiple machines and be able to host them in a specific location. We're also gonna start selling fractional machines. What does that mean? That means that if you don't have $5,000, $2,000, $2,500 to buy a full machine, or if you have a decent amount of miners, but you're not exactly making $2,000 a month to buy a new machine every time, and you don't want to add additional funds into mining from your normal income, we're launching fractional machines where essentially, let's say today we buy 10 M50s, and we as a company buy them. We front the cost, and then you guys will be able to buy fractions of them and earn fractional amounts of their output. Therefore, you guys can constantly scale yourself, which is similar to what Genesis is doing automatically for you. But in this case, anyone with any sort of revenue can do it. Are we so not waiting for shipping? They could be waiting for shipping based on demand. For example, Willie, if we buy 10 machines, but there's 15 machines worth of demand, we can't really do that. Obviously, we won't have it. But with the new and improved, not new and improved, but with the speeds that we get in North Carolina, it wouldn't be much of a problem. But we as a company can kind of throw a shot in the dark and gauge how much we could potentially do. If that makes sense. Yeah.
That I can share a screenshot of. Again, this is a mock-up of what this might look like.
Yeah, I'll just go a bit.
Thanks. We need to give you guys something.
Just throw it.
Because this has been a long time in the making, and we've been a little bit perfectionist about this. But when we launch it, we want it to be right. So that's an example screenie of what it would look like. So effectively, you put in your percentages, which come in levels of 10, and then you can buy your part of a machine.
Yeah. So it's going to be quite simple to do, and it will be credited to your account. So you wouldn't necessarily have to speak to us directly. You could just go in, boop, done. That saves us time, resources. Saves you time, resources. And I know all of you love talking to me one-on-one. I don't know the name what does specifically, especially rather. But it's just moved on the website to do so. So I saw a question which I'm gonna get into now. I've lost it. So basically EMF 1.2, but without the NFT. Yes and no. Actually, yes. It's basically an EMF without the NFT, but it doesn't become. You can't resell it.
As so when a name is asking, does an NFT come with this? No, this is Web 2.
Yeah, this is Web 2
peeps.
But that doesn't necessarily mean we stop doing NFT collections, if that makes sense. So therefore, people can choose. But if I know people right now who, since we minted EMF, have asked me, hey, I have another $3,000, I have another $2,000, I have another so and so money. When are you doing the next collection? So this is for like people that want to get it instantly, if that makes sense, because it'll be months until we're doing the next collection, So yeah, essentially we're thinking of the system and developing it with time, but when it's fully launched, it will essentially be a quick and easy way to scale yourself instantly. So any payout, any paycheck you get, any bonus money you do, any sort of resources that come to your way, will you be offering the fractional ownership?
Great question. That's a great question
delivered
from Rich.
or after you buy them? After they're delivered or after you buy them? Oh, as in, are we going to offer them when we have them, or are we going to offer them when we have them on the way? I would assume and suggest to the team, obviously it's not my sole decision, but it would be once they're ready to mine. It doesn't make sense for us to sell you something that's not there yet.
Yeah, so there'll be like an availability. When you click on the hash, it will basically tell you what's available and in stock. That was the intention when we were briefing the agency. But yeah, I think that would have been the intention. Otherwise, we could have, imagine if we've got all the different connotations of miners and different hash rates for the record. There are 5 different models of L7 as an example. We could end up like shipping full miners and then only having 10% of that sold. So yeah. that would create a slight issue for us. So it'd make sense for us to buy those in advance and then have the ability to be able to sell percentiles of. Is it possible demand will be greater than availability? The answer is we don't know.
Well, it's possible.
Possibly.
It's possible. Yeah, but
that's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, and that's a very easy problem to fix, because if 1 month we have too much demand, we just make up for it next month when we find a good balance.
By the way, shout out to I was about to say shout out to Josh Gans, because I've not seen a Marine Marauders in a long, long time.
Holy shit!
Helly, we minted some of those. I think I've still got some of those.
I bought one. I didn't mint one. Okay, so he has a.
There's a question. There is a lot. Do you want to read that one out?
I'll do it. Will we be able to get updated information about Genesis hash rate, assuming 100% functionality, including the ones currently in transit, and cost as $1 per kilowatt hour, so I can estimate ROI for purchasing NFTs? I know it's very dynamic, but it'd be great to see. Unless dashboard will sell all of that, and it's coming relatively soon, I can wait. No, I mean, it is like, as you said, it's extremely dynamic. We can provide the information in terms of how many machines, and once we start scaling the dust and all of these other things, that when they're more functional and they're more laid out and we get through the shipping issues, people will be kind of aware quite easily of how much it scales. But do I have something ready for you to send you? No, I don't, unfortunately. No. Is it going to be displayed on the dashboard? Not necessarily. But we could do, because we have on the dashboard, or we will have a section for news. So we can cater the news towards Genesis holders, saying, hey, Genesis holders get a 20K buy next month, So it's gonna be
Yeah.
dynamic, but like we don't. It's very difficult to give you an exact amount, and it's very difficult to calculate.
I think there's
on a
there's going to
basis.
be an element of you being able to kind of calculate for yourselves, right? Because we'll be able to tell you what the overall collection is mining and what you'll have a certain number of NFTs, which will give you your representation, which is what the original Genesis dashboard was meant to do. But we all know the story there, right? Helly and I were holders before we joined
I
the
never. By the way,
organisation.
it came out. I saw Doom chat shit about it, and I never opened it for like months. And when I did
Good old
open it last
Doom.
one, I was like,
We
"Fuck."
loved him. We loved Doom.
Oh,
So,
man, I missed Doom. I was he messaged me today because his son, who's my age, I'm basically Doom and I are very really good friends. We go out for drinks when I'm in Dubai like all the time, and I'm the same age as his son, so I'm basically like I'm the same as his son basically, and his son is now coming to Dubai, and he was like, oh, can you let's go for drinks, and I'm not in Dubai, and I missed him by like a couple of days because he's moving to Abu Dhabi. So it's fucking depressing. But yeah, I'll see Doom soon. I
all
think
right.
that I think that kind of covers it though in terms of
Yeah,
the
let's move on.
the
I'm
community
desperate.
surprise time.
I'm desperate. I'm desperate for a drink, and I'm
Yeah, I'm
talking an
definitely
alcoholic one. It's a Friday evening here,
definitely.
and it is absolutely cooking. So for Helly and I, and for those of you that are kind of in Western Europe right now, we're having a heat wave. We've had
Miserable.
we've had 4 consecutive days where it's gone over 30, 35, and sorry, about 34, 35. English houses are not built for heat; they're built for winter. So we have a great, amazing insulation, which means the heat just doesn't escape. So
And we
we
have
slowly
no
cook.
fucking AC.
No, none.
AC
But you can't
doesn't
wait to get.
exist in this country. We don't
I
do
bet,
that.
Helly,
That's so
you can't
sad.
wait to get back to Dubai, can you? And I
Yeah,
mean,
with my good ass AC.
well, David's in an incredibly humid country, so you know what this is all about. You just suffer it, don't you, mate?
Yeah,
My
I'm just in
mm,
my shorts here, man.
yeah,
I actually wanted to
dude,
turn on the video, but
no, don't,
don't, don't.
bro.
25 in Scotland, yeah.
25
100%.
is crazy.
25, I mean, there's all those ginger people getting very, very burnt.
Yeah,
What
that's
can you
scary.
say? Uh,
Okay, back to the thing. So surprise time.
no, well, we skipped over future collection.
With
Did we do that
crypto.
on purpose?
No, I that wasn't on purpose. I'm just stupid. Future collection not happening soon. That's the thing. That's enough. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, we
Um,
want to get
yeah,
EMF2 up and
we want to
running.
get everything going. Um, we want to get
I
everything
think
going, and we want to have um a decent amount of time so we can then launch a collection, which could actually not be as necessary based on demand for percents of machines. So we could end up having EMF3 be a very small collection compared to the previous ones because of demand being elsewhere for machines. If that makes sense. So yeah, it's EMF3 is not going to be within the next 1-2 months. I think it's a pretty good thing to say. Nanemo has a question. In your opinion, what is the fair value of an EMF1 NFT? Dude, I have bought many. I bought additional ones over the counter. I think I bought another 30 or 40. So I grew my stack by like 10% or something recently. So I am pretty bullish on them. I like them. They're just sitting. They, as Joe said, outlooks are quite long. But bro, ready to Blur. I was talking to Pro Killer Civ, and he bought like 104 or something crazy on Blur. So yeah, I'm pretty. My mind hasn't really changed about EMF1. Obviously, the prices and the gutter, but once they come back, and there's good indication of a bull market coming soon. And Elon Musk is getting all of his licenses to have crypto and payments on Twitter, and he loves Twitter. He loves Doge, and I think his bio has Doge icon as well. So it's yeah.
yeah. And
Surprise
look,
time. Oh no, sorry, JT. Sorry.
I was just about to say, reasons to be bullish. And look, the next EMF payment is coming out. We've been playing with curtailing. It's been another shitty month. It's just been a shitty month. And for those of you that I'm just going to give you your disappointment in advance. It's not far off the last payment. However, we're entering into the last part of the summer period. I think we're now in switchover mode. I think there is what they call what was the term they used? It's kind of like a what month? It's a something month, isn't it? I can't remember what it was called. Like a changeover month or something. Interim, yeah, something like that. And then we enter into the new rates for the winter as of the 1st of October. So we'll see that price starting to clip down. I think when Stephen did his calculations, I think the rate did come down a touch. But yeah, you'll see the payments start to hit you probably. I think it's tomorrow. When our dev will do the script running, but I think to be honest with Nanaimo, the fair price is what anyone is willing to sell it for. People have their reasons for wanting to move on, and the community will decide ultimately. So I picked up a considerable amount at the end of the last payment. I work for the company. I'm bullish on and drinking my own champagne. I think I went from 96 to 177, and my average buy price was about 0.041 on those. So, thank you to those that wanted to de-risk, and hope you enjoy the ETH.
Bro,
I'm happy.
Can we have a chat about what people were saying in the chat? Because it was hilarious. People were like, Enigma scamming us.
Yeah, we're buying up. We're deliberately paying everybody shit so we can pick up the NFTs.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was. I wish though. That's pretty funny.
It's still my money. So
we haven't made that joke recently, but we always used to joke that we should, and I think the whales do it as well in the whale chat. We should just start flooding Enigma so much that Genesis goes as shit, and then we just buy it up. But no, that's.
Please ignore him. He hasn't even had a drink yet.
Yes.
Right. Community surprise. Let's move on to more positive stuff. Oh yes, Nemo. Look, if you can't be bullish on yourself, who can you be bullish on? So there you go.
True.
Yeah. So drum roll.
Drum.
Dun. I want to do that for the recording. JT, you want me to go? Or should you do it?
Well, I'll do the preamble.
Do it together.
Do the reveal. So we have been hinting something, and if you've been one of those things, if you've been paying attention in the chit chat, in the cave and in the main chat, you will know that that as a community we are super grateful for you guys. For your turning up for these AMAs. We love the fact that you care enough to actually complain. We do take every single complaint seriously. You've been raising tickets. We've been doing our best to kind of do our best by you. And so we have come up with a mechanism to actually give back in a way. So it's quite clear that everybody is here for a reason, right? You're here to see the project grow because the rewards grow. If Enigma's in better shape, clearly we can get better rates, we can get better prices on containers, we can get better prices on infrastructure, and. So we have come up with an idea. It's an idea that's actually been in progress for about the last 4 to 5 months. We've gradually finessed it. There's been a hell of a lot of maths involved in the background, which, for Helly and I, that can be a bit of a struggle sometimes, especially when you're talking to somebody at the top who loves giving you really complicated formulae and just expects us to know it. So
just to give context, when Joe just started rambling about numbers, like he just did to you guys, and like he does that like 10 times longer and more to us. So he just there taking notes of his fucking brain calculations. Anyway, but sorry, JT. Do finish.
Yeah, I've had to resort to ChatGPT with some of these stuff. I'm just like, please help me understand this, and then I copy what Joe's written, and then I say, can you please explain this in layman's terms? But yeah, we've come up with a little something, and I'm going to let Heli do the big reveal because a lot of it has been his hard work that's been sat here in the background. So over to you, mate.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've taken a while to do it, and obviously it's not very difficult to do. We just have had other things in the way, and we've created a referral system, and that referral system is based on David's or sorry NFT Maxi's very good market research, probably the best you'll ever find in the crypto space in terms of mining, and we're gonna drop the information on how that system works, but it's very favorable towards anyone who refers as clients, and it has pretty much no minimum, or we're thinking about it, but it'll most likely have no minimum amount referred required, meaning if you refer a friend of yours for one machine, that's fine, you're still going to get something out of it. And the way we're structuring it is there'll be two options on what you can do with the money that you get from referring people, companies, whatever. You can either get cash straight up, which is I think an option people might be willing to take, but you could also allow us to buy machines for you. And the machines that we're going to buy, the machine option actually has a higher percent, for you. So for example, if you refer 100k worth of business and you choose a machine option, you're going to get more machines in terms of dollar value than cash. And obviously that makes sense for us as a business because we want more power, we want more machines to be bought, so we can obviously have more revenue and you can mine. But I think most people can take advantage of that for sure. How can we ensure as a referral? So yeah, obviously people they can chat shit and basically pretend to be someone else to take the money. I'll be having there'll be a sign up sheet essentially for anyone who wants to actually become a referee or not referee. I'm forgetting the word right now, but
Referee.
is it referee? I think it is referee.
Yeah.
Anyway, whoever wants to partake, will take note. I'll have a chat with them on a call real quick just to verify who they are, chat to them, explain everything to them, and then anyone that they refer, I'm also going to request to have a chat with just to make sure it's not an old account. But in reality, it's quite difficult to kind of bullshit that because the age of a Discord account, if it's on over WhatsApp, if you have chats, you have to give your actual name. Yeah, so we're gonna have a few steps and kind of things to audit the referrals. But if anyone slips through the net and misleads us and they decide to do that and we miss it, it is what it is. End of the day, it's more business for us. It will suck and it'll be just kind of dumb to do, to be honest, but it is what it is. So yeah,
there will be some terms and conditions, and yes, we are going to be putting this in front of our legal representative in order to take a look at those terms. But anybody found abusing the system will not be able to partake in future. I'll make sure of it. But no, in all honesty, look, this is an opportunity for you guys. Like, we know that this is timing-wise, we would love to be in the position where everything is kind of whirring away in Paraguay and in North Carolina. We are super confident with everything that's happening, despite the stupid logistical challenges that we've been going through. We're seeing the growth of the company. We're seeing Genesis paying out. We're seeing EMF. Okay, we're not in the best situation right now with that either. But moving forward, once these miners get up and running and people start getting paid, by you just sharing amongst your network, that there's a project here that's been working their socks off to provide value for their community, and there's a potential for you to kind of share that knowledge and share that value to others and then be rewarded for it. I can't think of a better way to thank all of you for sticking by us through thick and thin, and this is our way of giving back. And it benefits the project. It then benefits those of you who have Genesised up with us as well. So I think everybody wins. And yeah, Willie with he referred Canico and being, well, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, referred doomed. So where's my money? Anyway, yeah. Long story short, we're gonna be doing a referral system. You're gonna have to apply to it. It'll be good for everyone involved. And actually, our bottom tier of the current system that we're planning on doing is, I think, 2.5 times better than anything that we found on the market. And we only found one, realistically, looking at 30 plus companies, I believe. Was it 30 plus, David?
I think it was 80.
80? You go up to, oh, sorry, it was, yeah. I last I
Well,
checked in with you was 30, so 80,
yeah,
even more. Yeah. So, guys, we have looked into, or David mainly, who's kind of heading up that side of things. He's looked at all of, I guess, our competition, quote unquote. All the different companies, reaching out to all of them, checking how quickly they're replying to things, how on the job they are, what their rates are like, what their deals are like, just so we know how we compare to everyone else. And I think, David, it was pretty appalling how some, like, you never got a reply from anyone, right? Oh, I'm sorry, you got a reply from like
yeah.
5 people or something like that within a day or something.
Well, 7. Oh, within a day, yeah, like 4.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
Given
yeah,
yeah, sorry, go on, JD.
I was going to say we're not revealing the percentages today. That will come in a subsequent announcement,
that'll
and
be
we're gonna have a nice, lovely brochure to go with it, so that you guys have got something to take away and read. But there is a little genius piece that Heli is stuck in there. So talk about the 6-month thing that we covered off in the team meeting.
Oh yes. To be even more favorable towards our community and help them out, because our structure relies on how much business you bought, and the more you bring, the better rates you get, which makes sense. Let's reward everyone. We're gonna implement a cumulative count. So let's say you want to introduce your friend who is a big businessman or has a big business, but they want to dip their toes to kind of check how things are going, if we're legit, if we can deliver the time, the mining, if we can do all of these things, and they don't want to put too much money in at first, but they want to scale in later, which we have something we have seen. We don't want to hurt you, and we don't want to damage you for that, or kind of not damage you. But we don't want to take things away from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow people to cumulatively add up how much business they've referred. Meaning, if the first, I don't, this is not the exact numbers, but I'm just giving an example. If the first bracket is 100K, oh sorry, is 5K minimum, the next bracket is 100K minimum, you can then um add all of it up. So if the first deal that you do is 10K and you're the first bracket, and then the second one is 150K or 80K, 90K, that all adds up, and that is your final kind of balance to where you get up to. So the first referral is the lower bracket, but anything after that is the higher bracket, including anything after that. So if you get in the highest bracket that we offer and you refer another 5K on top, that still gets rewarded the highest amount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And the Namo is completely be a bang on, mate. If the person is already, if we're in communication with the individual already, and clearly that is not a new opportunity, so it will need to be a net new opportunity, someone we've not spoken to before.
Oh yeah, sorry,
in order to qualify. So, have that conversation. Open a ticket with us. And there will be a process. There'll be a form for you to fill in, etc., etc. And what we'll do is we'll probably jump on a call of some description, as Heli said, and qualify the opportunity, and obviously provide the advice that we would do to every single other buying host. So about machines, about locations, about rates, and work the deal together, giving you visibility, I guess, of what the process looks like, so you can be familiar the next time we go through it. So.
I think the key point that the Nemo brings is, what if we're already in discussion? Or if the Nemo, think of it this way. If, let's say, I don't know, Fish Sticks referred someone to me, and Fish Sticks, I think I shared the structure to you early on. But if someone referred someone 3 months ago and we closed that deal, that's gone. I'm sorry. But if For example, let's pick someone else. If Willy Boy referred a business or a company to me 3 weeks ago, I will just bring him and we haven't closed the deal yet. He's automatically into the referral system, if that makes sense. So what's closed or been closed, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we can't just magically make everything go back. But if I had seen an indication that someone could refer someone to me, aka Fish Sticks, who referred 2 people actually to me, I had given him a bit of a preview and kind of knowledge of the fact that the referral system exists, so I don't take away from him, if that makes sense. I have also shared the beta version of the numbers and these things, or we have shared with another 2 or 3 people that were bringing deals to us, with them knowing that, hey, these deals are subject to change, but this is what it might look like, and it won't be too far away from this. So we're not going to just say, hey, this and that. You just go. It's anything ongoing and anything future. Hopefully that makes sense.
So, what do you guys think? Let's get some reactions in the chit chat. How do you guys feel about working with us?
JT,
What have I missed? What have I missed? What have I missed?
I forgot to tell them that they'll also get a % of the mined profits, of our profits on that client. So if someone mined, yeah, sorry.
So it's not a one-time. It's not a one-time thing.
Yeah. So
you're gonna receive that dirty word that we don't use. We're gonna call it rewards.
Oh, rewards. Sorry, but if for example, an Enigma refers someone to the tune of $1 million, and for example, we as ALTERI, from that person's mining every single month, let's say get $10,000, a % of that profit, our profit, the company profit for that service of hosting that, will go to an Enigma, and that again will be included in the numbers. And it's a generous number, to be honest, and it's not going to look like much, and for small amounts, but the way the structure is built, the longer you and the more you bring in, the better it is for you. To the point where if you bring in a big client, which is very doable for some people, let's say you're part of a community or an alpha group or a trading group, and you bring them and suddenly we close $500,000 deal with them, that is just a bunch of money in your pocket. Yes, rewards for the lifetime of that client's order.
100%.
If they then add on more, that doesn't
which
count.
many do.
Yeah, that doesn't count. It will be just that initial amount.
Well, the first 6 months initial.
Oh, sorry. Within the first
the first 6 months, you will get it. You will get it 100%.
Yeah. So sorry, not the first 6 months of the profit share. It will be within the first 6 months of you introducing them to us. So if someone buys 5K worth of machines, you get the small profit from our profit. But if they then add $1 million later after they're more comfortable, then you will get within a 6 month period, you'll get for both. But if then from the initial amount after 8 months they want to buy more, that won't be included. It will be within 6 months of each individual client. Does that make sense? I mean, the Nemo, that's actually a good point. It's not final yet, so anything that we discussed is subject to change. As we said,
we're finessing at the minute.
Yeah, it's obviously we've put a lot of thought into it, and I've put a very a decent amount of thought into it over the last couple of weeks, especially last 48 hours. And all of these things again are going to be done in a proper legal manner, meaning we'll sign some sort of agreement, MOU or whatever. So yeah, again, Nemo, if you have experience with that, which you, from the sounds of it, you might do, or you just want to provide some feedback, happy to hear it offline. It's the same with anyone, to be honest. But
absolutely,
again, to clarify, we have seen this in one other company for mining out of 80 that David has looked into. And trust me when I tell you this, David is good at collecting information. So he wouldn't miss this simple thing. Yeah. So this is like unheard of, basically, in the normal Web2 space. I think SteadyStacks is doing some sort of I'm not sure the details, but I think they're doing some sort of referral as well. I'm not sure when they'll make it public. I think it'll be soon.
And do you know
But
what
yeah.
the best thing about that is, Ellie?
What's that? Oh, they'll release it first and say we did it. Oh, what?
No, the business is coming to us.
Yeah. So as Steady's provider for mining, that all
Love
helps
that.
ALTERI,
love
and that then helps Genesis. So anything that they do is helpful to us all. So we should be thankful for SteadyStacks.
100%.
We should be thankful for
All
SteadyStacks.
right, look, we just tipped
It's
past
been
the 2
too long.
hours.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yep. So just a quick recap. So we covered off. We talked to you about the shipments and the struggles we've had,
We
and the
did a lot.
fact that Helly and I have got, our foreheads are bloodied, through the process. But you know what? As this stuff starts trickling in and the stuff starts arriving racked and stacked and turned on, you know what? There'll be just a huge sense of relief all round. And at that point would have been the time to launch the referral program. However, we really wanted to kind of get this thing sort of out there into the wild. This is something else that we've been thinking about. We haven't just been focusing on operational stuff. We gave you the plans for North Carolina around what we're doing there. We have got clients that are putting units in. Commander took you through kind of the curtailing model and how we kind of reduce that rate overall. It's very, very clever stuff. There was a whole load of stuff there that you just that a commander could have mentioned, but I think he'd have had us all asleep by that point. We dipped into the Genesis cycles and the fact that moving forward, once those miners are in situ, it will be a monthly thing with you guys. We talked about the Genesis investment, the over 200k, a combination majority ALTERI profits and some reinvestment that went in there. Heli covered the buy and host wins and the progress, but yeah, we would love nothing more than to be able to tell you kind of the deals that that have closed that we're waiting on orders for, but we just can't until that money hits the bank account. We can't say a word, but super bullish on that. We covered off the website. We covered off. We did cover briefly about the dashboard, but the highlight of that was, of course, the ability for us to be able to sell hash rates, so the percentage of the miner. Which will be coming, and obviously we answered the question around what happens if somebody wants to just buy 10%. We will make the likelihood is that we'll make miners available in our facility, and we'll be able to tell you what is available to buy in percentiles, how much of that is available at that time in that location. We covered off future NFT collection in the fact that there is nothing else planned at this point, certainly not in the next 1 to 2 months. We want to get everything settled first and foremost. Let's just get you guys paid. Let's keep the bullishness going. And last but not least, Heli has just announced the referral program. Did I miss anything? Or is that it?
You missed the fact that we've been on a call essentially 4 hours and we want to kill ourselves.
Oh yeah, that too. And Rigid
so
brought up the
stable
conversation
product.
of merch.
Oh,
yeah, we
is
learned
it-
that.
Is it
we
with Richard that
learned.
we're doing the merch?
Pardon? We talked
Is
about
it-
merch.
No,
And
it
is on there. So
Nice.
it is on the agenda. I'm working on it. I'm checking into the viability of it. Trust me, I've spoken to so many suppliers, and the issue is global shipping.
Yeah.
Most of the people that do the professional stuff, so in my industry, the tech industry, merch is quite common. Trade shows, you're giving T-shirts and hats and God knows what else. What they want to do is they want to ship it to one location, and then that stuff needs to be shipped. So if it's coming to mine or Heli's house, we've got to ship it out to you guys. If it's going to Joe or to North Carolina, someone's still then responsible for repackaging that stuff and sending it out to you as individuals. What we want is a company that's you go onto the website, you choose the bits you want, and they effectively ship it for us. That's what we want, and they're not be quoting you insane amounts for shipping. So it's there. Should I let Heli back on stage, or should I just leave him there?
Oh, dude, I forgot to just click. I forgot to just click the next button over.
You can let yourself up here. But what about me, Train? Look, I'm not even going to comment on that. That's Max's affair. That is. So
I think I fucked it up today by accident.
do we
By
know when the
accident.
recording will be posted? Yeah, Laura's got the recording, mate.
I think you should be able, Laura, just let us know where you can post it. And Laura, please, if you can upload it to Google Drive first, not just send the file. I'm not sure you shared the recording in general, but if you can do that, that'd be great.
So, before we call it quits for the night, has anybody got any final questions? In terms of when is the next one going to be? It's probably going to be in 2 to 3 weeks' time. We'll get another one scheduled in. Helly and I will talk about that offline tomorrow with the team.
Yep.
And we'll work out when it makes sense. We would like to have a few more updates on shipments and obviously Paraguay, because that really makes it worthwhile for everybody to take the time to sit with us rather than us having the same conversation all over again. We will be recommending people listen to the recording. But if there is no further questions, anything from you, Maxi, before we go?
Yeah, JT, what's your favorite color?
Oh my god, I'm closing the page.
Beer color, and I'm going to have one now.
All right. I know you guys like pink. You have to admit it.
No, I quit drinking actually. I'm a good boy now. I need to lose weight before I can
I'm
drink
happy
again.
to hear that.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks.
7 years without alcohol.
No way. Dude, you're like
Yep.
old, right?
Good for you guys. I think my life is far too stressful to not have alcohol involved.
Yeah, no
So-
shit. But I gotta lose weight. I was getting close to 100 kilograms. It's embarrassing.
Wow.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
real
dude.
shame.
Anything's making chubby.
It's a real shame Mungo's not here. I know full well that being a Scot, she loves a drink.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, guys, well, look, if there's
But,
nothing
yeah,
more,
let's fuck off.
yeah, if there's nothing further, oh, she is here. Typing. I couldn't see you in the audience for some reason. Don't know why. Oh, she's had a couple already. Good for you, love. We'll be joining you in a minute. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining. I think if these get a bit more regular, we won't be doing the 2-hour love
Yeah.
train. But
Our
look,
communication
we
is
really, as Commander said at the start of the call, we really do appreciate all your patience. It means the world to us, and just the occasional kind word means so much when sometimes we feel like we've been shooting ourselves in the head. But yep, we took your comments on board. We will not get ourselves into that situation again. That combined with summer holidays and everything else has just kind of killed it. But we're all back in the hot seat. Feel free to take the piss out of us in main chat, especially Helly, because he deserves it. And on that note, I wish you all farewell. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.